As part of their commitment to cross-border capital markets for sustainable growth, the Nigeria and London Stock Exchanges held their second dual listing conference in Lagos. It brought together stakeholders and investors in the financial and capital market. In his opening remarks, the CEO of the Nigeria Stock Exchange, Mr Oscar Onyema, shared the essence of the collaboration and dual listing conference.
This event is particularly dear to me as it comes at an interesting and pivotal time in the history of our nation, economy, and the global financial markets. The theme of this conference, leveraging cross-border capital markets for sustainable growth, is quite topical for the country at this time, as the government grapples with the task of articulating a clear economic blueprint for the short to medium term within which credible fiscal and monetary policies can emerge, and diversifying the economy in the face of depressed earnings from legacy sources. The reality of the need to leverage and embrace the globalization of economies and financial markets becomes even clearer. Capital markets are critical to sustainability of growth and development in an economy. It is my strong belief that one of the things that Nigeria, and indeed Africa, needs to sustain its growth is a solid and vibrant capital market ecosystem that will attract investment and unlock the potential that exists in the economy. Our collaboration with the London Stock Exchange is deliberate and strategic. It is geared at encouraging seamless cross-border access between our capital markets to ultimately drive deeper capital markets that enable capital formation for businesses and governments, create larger liquidity pools and greater competitiveness for our investors, and enhance capacity and promote diversity of investment products to meet the needs of a wide range of investors and issuers. The opportunity is here, the opportunity is now. Creating and sustaining the growth trajectory of our exchanges, capital markets, financial markets, economies, and the continent as a whole requires a strong commitment from each and every one of us here today. It is not an easy journey, but it is one that we have no choice but to embark upon individually and collectively in order to guarantee our competitive advantage in today's hyper-connected world. The world is getting flatter every day, and with soaring world populations, we must facilitate the drive for wealth creation for our own people, while providing the platform to which global savings can be channeled. We must use this opportunity to partner with each other to enable us further unlock our growth potential and advance the development of our financial and capital markets.
The CEO of the London Stock Exchange, Mr Nikhil Rathi, listed why Nigeria and Africa was vital to the London capital market.
Over many years, the London Stock Exchange has built a very strong and deep relationship with partners in Nigeria and Africa, anchored, of course, in the world's most international financial centre in London. Just a few facts which you may not all be familiar with, but we are, by the number of African companies listed, the second largest African exchange in the world. There's another exchange a little bit to the south of here that has a few African companies on its market, but we have 113 African companies on our market, more than any other non-African exchange, and we are very proud of that achievement. And these companies together have a total market capitalization of $200 billion. And importantly, in the last 10 years, they've been able to access the international markets in London to raise an additional $26 billion of capital. But we don't just have relationships in equity markets, in the debt markets as well. 19 African governments come to London and list on our market to raise debt finance. And we have 19 19 African bonds listed from six countries coming onto our markets. There are already 9 companies with operations in Nigeria as part of the London Stock Exchange ecosystem listed on our market. And of the FTSE 100, so UK companies, the top 100 UK companies, we've just done some research, 49 of them have revenues derived from Nigeria, some of them very, very substantial revenues indeed. So they're a very strong corporate relationships between London and Nigeria, which I think our two exchanges can only augment.
The Director General of the Security and Exchange Commission, Mr. Mona Agwazo, gives his perspective on the partnership.
Nigeria is too attractive for any discerning investor to run away from. Opportunities abound across the different sectors of the economy. The capital market is poised to play a leading role in expanding access to these opportunities and supporting national economic development. We are implementing the 10-year Capital Market Master Plan to reposition the market so that it can live up to its expectations. To achieve our goals, we require partnership such as this one with the London Stock Exchange. There are many areas of support and collaborations we can explore to strengthen the ties between our two markets. My personal commitment, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is that SEC will not relent in its implementation drive until our market eventually emerges as one of the most competitive, attractive, northern emerging markets.
Stakeholders speak further on the conference.
Everyone wants to invest in Nigeria. They know the potential of the market. We're saying it's going to be the 9th biggest economy in 2050. But right now there's some barriers to it. And one way is, how does this actually happen? So to the extent that we can get more dual listings, where companies listed on both the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the London Stock Exchange, that's going to attract more investors that are going to be able to participate in Nigeria. And I think what's very important is it's not just about oil and gas. It's also about consumer goods. It's also around the banks, companies like Dangote Cement. When they're dual listed, people are attracted to the other parts of the Nigerian economy.
This platform really provides an opportunity for these countries to have cheaper long-term cost of raising equity capital, deeper following from a trading liquidity perspective, diversified risk from a geographical dispersion perspective where they are raising capital across two platforms, branding benefits, corporate governance benefits. There's so many benefits that companies are actually motivated to raise their game in order to meet the standards for both markets.
Most importantly, I think this partnership begins really to open the minds of issuers as well as intermediaries to the possibilities that exist as market conditions and the macro conditions that we're looking at, begin to improve, for a number of solutions. Those solutions could be as simple as dual listing. It's also possible that if we do the hard work around making the Naira essentially, a currency that's, convertible. There is also the possibility, to raise, Naira, in international markets.
Well, Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. It's one of the most dynamic, one of the most entrepreneurial economies, and it's going to grow very fast over the long term. And we in London have had a long history of working with Nigerian companies and in Africa more generally, with 113 African companies listed on our market. So we're very excited by our partnership with Nigeria. We think that together we can support Nigerian companies that are looking to grow and looking to access capital from all over the world and enable them to raise the money they need to deliver the growth that Nigeria needs for infrastructure and for growing businesses.
From this forum, investors, analysts, and capital market stakeholders will watch closely how the NSE and LSE partnership will achieve capital formation for Nigerian and African companies.